Right now, I'm going to be talking about a game that deserves a little bit more recognition. But before we hop into it, let me create a little bit of a background for you. We all know about the gameplay masterpiece of Doom and its fantastic soundtrack. If you don't know, then how the hell did you get here and what YouTube rabbit hole are you going through right now? Huh? But anyway, well, if you made it here, thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Now, I digress. Let's take Doom's fast-paced gameplay and amazing soundtrack, then make it into more of a rhythm game. And with this, I introduce you to bullets per minute, or BPM for future reference. So BPM starts out with 6 levels that progressively becomes harder as you complete the stages. The enemies on the first stage are just mere bats, slugs, and spiders that follow and attack on the beat pattern of the stage that you're in. During my first experience with the game, I was stuck around the first stage a lot. I went through experimenting and limit testing things because even though the game has its tutorial, it's very simple and at the time didn't give you the full details on rhythm and actions of that you can do. Now once I headed to the first boss, I was faced with the first roadblock. In BPM, there are certain attacks that the enemies can do that the beat indicator will tell you how to avoid those attacks. The beat indicator is basically just like the middle of your reticle that have these like small arrows that converge in the middle that goes to the beat of the music, which tells you how to stay on beat basically. There are certain attacks that the enemies can do with the beat indicator that can tell you how to avoid those attacks. If the arrow is facing up, then you jump. If the arrow is facing left or right, you would dodge in the corresponding direction. So for the boss, his mechanic was that he would raise his arms to one side of the room, and wherever your character is, he will attack that side of you. So for example, if he raises his arms to the left side, then you should dodge right to the beat, and vice versa. This shit right here took me an embarrassing large amount of time to get through my small gamer brain. Whoa, 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 whoa. I was doing so good too. That doesn't... Oh, okay. But I finally got the mechanics down once I got the beat of the music going. To be honest, the first boss was the only roadblock to me, and depending on the run, whether or not you get OP items early game can easily make bosses a breeze. Oh, let's go. Mainly the later bosses were bullet sponges except for the third one, and that's only depending on how long it takes to kill them. It will spawn these gates that will rotate slowly, and this game being fast paced as hell can really ruin the pace of it. But as I said before, get OP items and win games.
Yo, yo, yo! Ah!
Yeah, boy. What's good?
This is big brain time.
For this segment, I will introduce the characters that you can play in this game. At the time, there are 5 characters they're basically called Valkyries, but please forgive me for butchering these names. But their names are Ghoul, whatever, Freyr, Hildur, Nord, and Odir. I really hope I'm getting that right. Well, I'm not. You will first start out with a Ghoul. She starts out with an average pistol with 8 bullets and has 100 health. And for damage comparisons, getting hit by an enemy will do 25 HP, in which with simple math means that 4 hits and you're dead. which is honestly generous compared to the other Valkyries. But we'll talk about that soon. Golo is mainly balanced but sucks early game because her pistol is a 2-shot for small, easy enemies. And you'll have to reload a lot, so if you find an armory, you best have enough to buy a new gun. Now, what the armory is just like this room where, I don't even know what to describe it. It's like this chicken type robot thing that's just sitting in the middle, that's just dancing around. But in the middle, there's like 3 guns that you can choose from. All the guns in there have different prices. The first gun in the middle will cost like 5 coins. The one on the right will cost 15 coins. And the one on the farthest left will cost 30 coins. And on the left side of that room as well, there's also a buff called Clip Up, which basically just increases the clip of your currently equipped gun by 1. And to the right side of the room, you can buy a buff where it increases your damage, but we'll talk about stats later when we're talking about builds. The second character is Freyr, who serves as a tanky Valkyrie who has 250 shields, which seems good, but is mainly a huge disadvantage. You see, the way shields work in this game is that you can't heal back shields via health potions, so potions serve no purpose to you. So once you've taken damage, you can't get it back except for only 3 ways. 1, by repeatedly going to the store and buying more shields. 2, buying increased HP potions, which will give you 25 health, which you have to keep on buying over and over again so you can actually have a decent health pool and just sacrifice your shields on the way. Or 3, get really lucky and find this one item that will convert all your shields into HP, which RNG is your only savior at that point, well, if you do find it or not. So basically that item depicts like your entire run if you're trying to get it. Fortunately, Freyr's gun is pretty satisfying, as it is a shotgun revolver hybrid that scales pretty nicely and one-shots most enemies in the game, except for bosses of course. There's also another downside to this weapon, and that is your reload animation. You will have to put a bullet in for each beat, which means you're mainly putting in 6 bullets for 6 beats, which will take a while depending on your skill and if you can exploit the half beats as well during when you're listening to music. Yeah, even clip upgrades will increase the full reload of this gun, will increase the time for you to reload the gun. Fortunately, you can reload cancel the gun, so you don't have to always reload it to a full mag, but just keep that in mind. The third Valkyrie is Hildur. Hildur is basically expressed by this one word: speed. She's the fastest out of all the Valkyries early game, starting off with 6 points into speed on spawn and a key to get some chests as well, where she has 50 HP and has a 25 shield, which in total will be just a 75 health pool. And her weapon is another pistol shotgun, so you'll have to learn to play risky with her. She's decent in my opinion, but to be honest, speed builds are not my thing in this game, because with low map awareness, you can either run into an enemy behind you, or run into a foreign projectile that can ruin your run. By this point, it's just a learning curve of just getting used to the speed and just knowing your surroundings, of course. Next up is Njord. Honestly, Njord is one of my favorite playstyles because of his weapon. He doesn't use any guns at all, but instead uses his magic hands to attack. He shoots energy balls at enemies, and his projectiles have no damage fall off, so upgrading range is basically useless. But of course, there's a cost for magic hands, and that is that you can't equip any other gun in the game, so in a way you're saving money. But you can also buy clip ups, but they're also a waste because you have unlimited ammo. Njord also starts with 50 HP but doesn't have any shields, so he's even a more riskier character than Hildur. but compensates with this no damage fall off. He also has no speed, but you can build it up as you continue with the game. Lastly, we reach Odir. I never unlocked him as of now because it took me a long time just to beat the base game. And to unlock Odir, you need to beat the game on hard mode. That'll be a video in another time. But for all I know in the wiki, he carries a double barrel shotgun and has no health pool. So I guess that means that the moment you get hit, then your run is over, and getting shields or increased HP won't help with that as well. You have to be like you need to be like an expert at the game to play as him. Now, of course, with this being a roguelike game, there are items that you can build out of. For this game, the builds are pretty simple, but let me explain a aspect of the game. So as you're playing, each room that you clear will have a statue that is in a corner where if you give 1 coin to it, it'll give you a point in your stats, which your stats are speed, range, luck, damage, precision, and ability. Speed is just your overall movement and sprint that you can increase. Range is your bullet drop off damage, so if you put it into perspective, you can have a double barrel shotgun act as an AX-50 and snipe the fuck out of enemies. Luck is kind of hard to explain. Luck is for certain statues that require a random amount of coins or keys that you have to put into it until you can get an item out of it. So the more luck that you have, the less money you have to spend. So let's say I have 0 luck, then the statue is going to be it's just going to keep on going until it randomly gives me the chance of the items. I either put in 5, 10, whatever it wants really. It has a set amount, but as the player, I don't know it. But if my luck is maxed, that just means that the moment I put in 1 coin, I have it immediately. Damage is pretty simple to not explain what it is. I mean, it's increased damage, that's it. Precision is basically your critical multiplier when you're shooting enemies weak point. Finally, the ability stat is how your skill, your second skill, can scale whether it's damage, healing, or utility. So for example, there's an ability in the game that you can pick up that's every minute, a minute and 30, it gives you get free money. But with ability, instead of just getting 3 coins, it starts to stack, so you get 7 coins now or more. If it's something like damage, there's one skill that damages all enemies in the room. So with max ability, that just means that that just means it can wipe out majority of enemies, except for the tanky ones, of course, or the really big enemies. And it can affect bosses as well. Healing just means that you just heal more and stuff like that if you have increased ability stat. Talking about items, bullets per minute, they're a lot more simpler compared to items in Risk of Rain 2, where the items in that game are more complex and build exponentially the more you get them. In bullets per minute, every character has 4 equipment. Well, that's just their headpiece, chest piece, gloves, /gauntlets, and their legs. And these items that you can have for equipment are just they're basically just simple, oh, you do more headshot damage or you move faster. But hold on, we'll talk about the equipment in more of a deeper detail later, soon. In bullets per minute, there's no item combo that I can think of. You can go a simple crit build and stack crit because multiple types of equipment can increase your crit multiplier. There's also multiple items that can increase your jump count and your jump height. So normally you can only double jump, but you can make a build to where you can almost never touch the ground. This build can be helpful because most enemies are ground centered and they can't really do much if you're in the air except chase you until you land. And you can also do a speed build as well. You can have a lot of speed multipliers where you're just zipping and zooming through everything. I find that dangerous because I find it enough to where having the max stat for speed is enough for me. So just having more speed is just kind of too much. Because at that point it just becomes more of a danger for you to control yourself and where you're going. Going into more depth of the equipments now, they do things like adding explosion to your attacks, making it so you do an AoE attack whenever you land on the ground, or even grant you a second life. There's a lot more items, there's a lot more that goes in, there's some boosts that are oh, you leave poison on the ground, which is kind of it's okay, but then there's others where like there's some boots that or your crit would do percentage damage and stuff like that. Description on some of them or most of them are kind of odd based and I've tried looking in the wiki as well to see how they scale, how they work and how they scale, but the wiki doesn't really explain how they work. But I'll let you know a little secret for the people that have the game or are about to get it. The easiest and fastest route that you can do is to get either a like BFG like missile launcher, grenade launcher weapon, and grab this headpiece that grants you auto aim, and at that point it's GG easy win right there. This game was an overall blast, and I hope that there will be an endless mode because all roguelike games have that going on with Hades and Risk of Rain, but still this game has a lot of replayability. But if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want more, subscribe to the channel and tell me your thoughts on the game. But yeah, that's it. See ya. Hold on, wait. Alright, future me here, just correcting some things as I was editing. Well, there's a new update out this week for Bullets Per Minute called Overdrive that introduces a lot of new content, such as new enemies, more rooms, new guns, and 5 new characters. Alright, Herfortor? Yeah, Herfortor, Run, and Sangrador. I had to look that up. But I'll probably do an overview of them in another video, but for now, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.